How do you build $1 million business? The question that everybody wants to know when they first get started online. I'm no smarter than you or better than you by any means. I dropped out of school. But back in 2020, I actually made more than $1 million selling stupid plants like this. No joke. This is called a braided money tree, and I sold thousands of these trees every single month. And then I even sold the soil and the damn pots that these trees sit in. If it's your first time watching my channel, my name is Mo, and I've done way more than just sell plants online. Funny enough, I've sold products like this, you've probably seen before, super viral. Products like this right here, some pre-workouts. Even products like this, actually, this is a newer one we just started selling. But the point I'm trying to make here is I am not a one-hit wonder, and you can actually go buy my products online. I might even link them right below this video. I even helped, actually, funny enough, one of my students, Julian, he's now making $700,000 per month. That kid is an absolute monster. Makes me so happy. He's almost doing laps on me, which is crazy to think about, but super happy to know him and see his progress this far. So really in this video, what I want to do is I want to show you guys the same exact system that myself, my students, and other people that I've worked with pretty much follow in order to generate and build these $1 million brands. Let's start off by breaking down the first $1 million brand that I built. And it starts with this silly little tree. And you might be thinking to yourself, how the hell do you get the idea of selling plants on the internet? And to be quite honest, I can't take too much credit for that. At the time, me and my partners were just scrolling through the internet. We had just kind of finished drop shipping actually this other product in a different niche, and we were looking for the next thing to start selling. And coming across this article online, it pretty much broke down 3 main competitors, and it said, hey, we see or we expect the online plant industry to boom because the way the industry is right now is just outdated. So at that moment, as we were reading that article, we looked at each other and we were like, you know what? We think this is 100% worth trying. And without calling a single supplier, without knowing anything about plants, we're like, screw it. Why not put up a website and just see what could happen? And at the time, we understood that this actually could be a really good opportunity for the simple fact that it was 2020, it was COVID, so people can't go out there and be alongside nature and kind of like smell, be around greenery and even like get new pets. So we knew that if we were to sell something on the internet that gave people the vibe of health and being outside and being around greenery, that it could actually boom. So that's exactly what we did. And when we were looking at the market, we noticed a few different flaws. So one, the plant market in general and the people who were selling plants, one, they were only selling plants and they weren't really educating people on how to care for them. So we knew that was an area that we can tackle, right? So you don't buy a plant and it dies on you. The next thing is a lot of the plants that were being sold came with ugly pots, essentially. So if I live in Miami or if I have a nice bougie house or whatever it is, well, I don't want to put a old ceramic or old clay looking pot that's not going to go with the interior of my house. So we decided to go ahead and get these custom made planters, essentially we call them, to host the plants. And then third, we actually made plants cool again. I like to say Trump made America great again. We made plants cool again, right? The way we did that is by bringing this fresh air and this fresh style of marketing and actually using a lot of females to market plants and make plants seem like this new adorable must-have type of pet or item in your house. And those 3 things allowed us to actually start and scale this business way quicker and way faster than we expected. But because it was our first time selling something like this online, which is a living thing pretty much, well, we learned a lot of lessons. Number one, it was not easy to source these plants, right? Especially at first. 2 is because these plants needed specific type of care like water and sun, well, they were actually dying on the way to our warehouse. And then they were even dying in our warehouse if they sat there way too long, and they were dying on the way out to the customer. So we kind of learned this lesson of saying, hey, we don't never want to sell something perishable like this. Anything that requires extra care through shipping is pretty much very high barrier to entry, so we want to stay away from that. The next thing was we decided to take things into our own hands and pre-pot these plants. So instead of just shipping the pot and then shipping the plant individually, we're like, no, screw it. Let's hire people. And we opened up our own warehouse, actually, funny enough, and hired a hockey team from a local town, literally the whole team, to come pot plants in this little warehouse that we had gotten. So everybody had gloves on and putting soil in these nice ceramic pots and then putting the plants in them, then wrapping them up and shipping them out. And even within that process, we had a lot of problems because there's a special way to care for these plants, like I said. So that was also another big hurdle that we kind of had to overcome. But one of the best things that we learned through that business is pretty much unit economics, right? So a plant like this, we were buying this for like $5 to $6, right? Landed in our warehouse. And funny enough, we were selling these for about $150, right? So we had a lot of room for margin, and we've learned the lesson of like, hey, if you can't make anywhere between 7 to 10x, whatever it is you're selling out the gate, then that is probably a bad business or a very hard business to win it. So those were some of the main lessons that I can think of when it came to this first $1 million brand that we built. When it came to the marketing, actually, you guys won't believe this. So we went to a local nursery, okay? We bought like 2 to 3 plants. And then we went to IKEA with our own plants. And then we positioned these plants in every single room, right? Took professional looking pictures with our own phones and cameras, made our website, right? This was way before AI was a thing. And then decided to start selling and running ads online, like on Instagram, Facebook, etc. And literally within like the first 10 to 14 days, we spent about $2,000 on ads and made over $20,000 in sales before we even knew where we were going to buy these damn plants and these pots. When we did that, we knew that, okay, this is a winning market opportunity and we have to go all in on it. So we refunded pretty much the majority of those orders, and then we went ahead and figured out local nurseries in Florida, and we just started calling a bunch of farmers that would have these plants and figure out how we can get them actually shipped to our warehouse so we can ship them to our customers. So as that happened and we kind of figured these things out, obviously with calling a bunch of people and getting samples and kind of like tracking a bunch of stuff, we decided to also do another thing where we wanted to gift as many girls as possible free plants. I mean, these plants were costing us $5 to $6, and if we sent it to 100 people and 100 people post our plants, well, you can kind of get the idea there. And we ended up reaching out to all types of influencers, content creators, and people on Instagram, small, big, large, and we targeted a lot of people who kind of had this vibe within their homes, like interior designers or real estate agents, or even just girls who liked plants, clays, stuff like that. And literally every single person we reached out to said, yes, I want a free plant shipped to my house, because the product is so low barrier to entry. Like, it doesn't feel forceful, right? Like sometimes you may be selling a specific product where a lot of people don't really want to try it for free, right? Or they're going to charge you for content. This silly little tree, everybody wanted for free, and that actually helped us a lot with the marketing. And that was a full strategy that we ended up learning through that experience. So all in all, like, those were some of the key lessons and wins that we got when it came to this first $1 million brand. And funny enough, what I want to leave you guys here before I jump on to the next topic is that a lot of people think you have to have this crazy idea or this crazy amount of money or have this crazy amount of experience when you first get started by selling products online. But in reality, you really don't. All it takes is one simple idea, one silly little product like this one, and you to have enough willpower to actually make something happen. That was kind of like one experience that pretty much worked out really well. My second experience, or another experience, was me trying to sell exotic snack. But essentially, after I sold plants, I was like, you know what? I want to try selling candy. I have a sweet tooth. I love eating junk food. So maybe I can make money off of it. And when I looked at the industry and all the businesses that were selling exotic snacks, which were pretty much snacks from all over the world, well, everybody was either selling them individually or only sold them in retail. So the idea of selling them online at scale didn't exist. So me, being the smart, dumb person I am, I was like, you know what if I go ahead and create a subscription box? So I didn't have to invent a new product. I just had to package it in a way that was unique and new to the market. And that's exactly what I did. So I went ahead, I found a local grocery store that sold these exotic snacks. I grabbed all of them. I made this one box, and I took a bunch of pictures and said, guess what, guys? Exotic snacks, we're going to sell a subscription for about $30, I think, or $40 a month, and we're going to see how that goes. And that business did not generate $1 million, but it actually started generating a few $100,000 within the first few months. But I ended up closing it down for multiple reasons. One was supply chain. Okay, it was an absolute nightmare sourcing these snacks, right? I had to speak from people from China and Taiwan and Japan because I wanted to get a new batch of snacks every single month for this subscription box, right? And that was really hard. The second part was actually unit economics, right? So remember how the tree that I told you guys about? Well, I was buying it for $5 and selling it for $150. So I had a lot of margin to play with when it came to online marketing and hiring people. When it came to the snacks, it wasn't the case because I wasn't buying directly from the manufacturer because that was a hard process to do. I was pretty much buying from a middleman. And because of that, I was selling the box for I think $35 or $40. I needed to source all of these 6 or 7 different snacks that I was putting in a subscription box for less than $10. And getting a curation of good enough products or good enough snacks at the time was really hard to keep it under $10. So my profit pretty much started decreasing as time went on, and then my price to acquire a new customer started increasing. So I guess those are 2 reasons wrapped up in one in terms of why I ended up shutting it down. So that was in terms of the back end and the operation side. Now in terms of marketing it, this was when TikTok and Instagram Reels just started popping off, right? It was very new. Luckily for me, I knew how to make some of those content. So all I had to do was bring my phone out and I was literally just recording my hands opening bags of chips, showing exotic flavors, right? Eating them and doing like ASMR videos. And probably like 30 to 40 videos in, I started going viral and some of the videos started picking up 50, 60, 100,000 views. And that was really one of the main ways I was generating sales. And then after that, obviously, we decided to start doing paid ads. And with paid ads, like I said, it was working really well when we first got started. But as we spent more money essentially and trying to scale it and push this product and this business, well, the cost to acquire a customer was getting really high. And you mix that with the supply chain issues, and I was just like, you know what? This is not the business that I want to keep on building. So it's probably better off to take what I won with it in terms of profit, shut it down, and move on to the next thing. And I had no ego or type of embarrassment or like cringe feeling that, I just took a loss or I just failed shutting down a business. No, because ultimately, in order for you to win, you have to fail first. So I went from a win to a failure, and that just mapped me out and prepared me for the next venture that I was going to get into. I guess one important question as well, which a lot of you guys think, was, okay, how much did it cost you to build this brand? Well, let's break it down. So Shopify, which is where you host your website, was about $1 for 3 months. So that was $1. The cost of the snacks, where I bought my first box to record content with, was probably like $30. I customized the box for probably about $40 to $50. So all in all, let's say $100 right there. And then I was pretty resourceful enough to, again, create content myself, use siblings and friends to create content. But let's say you're not that resourceful, you probably have to spend a couple $100 there. So all in all, it pretty much cost me less than $500 to start that business. And really, I just want to touch on one point. It actually doesn't require you a lot of money to start and test something out. And I'm not just saying that as like some type of rage bait or clickbait to make you guys think that $500 is going to turn into $1 million. It can, yes, for sure. But the main thing you want to test out is, okay, how can you go ahead and essentially think of it as a pop-up online, right? So you know how some stores or local farmer markets, you go in there and they have a small shop and a tent and a table with a few products. That's essentially what you want to do online, right? But instead of having to buy a bunch of products, you just get a bunch of pictures done using AI or whatever it is, other resources, to make your website look as if it is a professional company and brand. And then if you can generate a few sales and figure out, okay, if I can make X amount of sales at X amount of profit margin, then I have a successful business. That's when you start building up the next steps and moving forward with the business plan. But until you do that, you really don't or should overthink the idea of just launching something and testing it out. All in all, before I go ahead and hit the pool, I want to leave you guys with pretty much the reason why I made this video. One, I wanted to encourage you guys and show you guys what it takes and how you can actually start $1 million business. Then I also want you to show you guys how even somebody like me who is successful using and doing stuff like this, well, you can also still have a bad idea or a bad business model. But the most important thing here is, again, understanding that you don't need to overcomplicate or overthink the product that you want to start selling. Whether it's trays, candy, or something you come across at Sephora, TikTok, Amazon, whatever it is, right? You can always find a new, unique way to present it and position it online. And if you can do that, then it is 100% worth trying out, right? Like literally yesterday, we were at the farmer's market downstairs, and I'd probably seen 30 different product ideas that I would probably go ahead and launch at some point in time if I didn't already have a brand that was generating millions of dollars. Being in this game for the last 6 years and speaking with hundreds, if not thousands of people at this point, I realized one thing, which is a lot of people have a really good product and a really good idea, just a bad way at executing it and making it actually wanted and needed in the market. And if there's one skill set that I truly believe I've developed over the last few years, is I actually understand how to bring the best out of a product and make people see that. And if people see that, then they will go ahead and buy your products every single day all over the world. And to give you guys an example, Julian came into our program. He was only making $20,000 to $30,000 a month. Fast forward 8 months now, he's literally making over $700,000 a month, which is crazy to believe. He's one of my most successful students. But the biggest shift for him, and again, you can hear it in our testimonial videos, you'll see that we really just helped him understand what it takes as a business to create systems, create scale, and understand how to pretty much market your product the right way. And once he figured that out and he learned what he needed to do, he was able to go ahead and take that information and run with it. So I want to leave you guys with that message, obviously. If you have any type of interest in order to start and scale your e-commerce business or find a product that you can start selling, then go ahead and check out the link below.